Welcome, everyone, to the Starfield Sandwich Podcast, a Starfield podcast by fans for fans. I'm one of your hosts, Eric, a.k.a. Sulior, and it is a very special episode today because we're actually, Kelsi and I are sitting down here together, and we are going to be talking all things Shattered Space. And when I say all things, I mean all things. We're going to get into the nitty-gritty, so there will be spoilers for this DLC. So if you haven't finished it, come back when you have, because we're going to be really getting into it here. So, but first off, hey man, how's it going? How have you been lately?
It is going pretty good. I am excited for this because it feels like very recently I've kind of slowly been getting back in the routine of podcasting after kind of taking the summer completely off. It's also nearly Halloween, spooky season.
Yes.
It's the best time of the year.
Very excited about that.
We're coming fresh off of Starfield expansion, been playing loads of video games. Yeah, I'm in a good mood, and like I say, I've been keen to do this. I've been pestering you because I finished the expansion before you, forcing you to stay up late at night and play it. But I'm good, and it's good to be here with you.
Yeah, I've been very busy with a lot of different things lately, but I did want to get in there. Yeah, I've been taking my time with it. Doing as many of the side quests as I can, getting out and exploring the new solar system that we've been given. But yeah, so what else have you been up to outside of Starfield?
So last night, and just because this is fresh in my mind, I was playing Inscription on Xbox, which is cool. So it's just come to Xbox Game Pass, and I try to play a lot of the new stuff that comes to Game Pass just to try it out. Mm-hmm. It's like a deck builder with like light RPG mechanics, and you're sort of... It's this weird setting where you're in this dark room playing this card game against some mystery opponent, and then he's walking you through a map, and there's weird cards, and it's kind of got like this really dark horror tone to it. So it's like perfect for this time of year. And I saw a few people online say it was pretty good, and I thought I'd just try it out last night, and I ended up playing that for a couple of hours. So that was really good. Before that, I was trying to get back into Fallout 76, and I sent you a message on Discord because I haven't played Fallout 76 for a while, and obviously just before we started recording, we've been talking about all the celebrations that are coming up and with Fallout for Hope and stuff, and I was really in a Fallout mood, so I fired up Fallout 76, and I was playing for about 20 minutes, and then we had a power outage at home here for like an hour and a half. And it was like the first time for ages I had played Fallout, ready to have a nice long session, and we had a power cut. So that screwed that. But yeah, just the usual, man. Just life's busy, work is busy, trying to play video games where we can. And yeah, like I say, getting back into the swing of podcasting for the various shows, that we do and that I do. So, yeah, all good, really. No complaints.
Awesome. Yeah, I've been playing a lot of different things lately. I mean, of course, there's always Fallout 76. I actually wrapped up the scoreboard the seasons for not just Xbox, but PC as well. But I've been doing a couple of things outside of that in there. My friend Shreds from El Gato Pub is doing a Photober photo challenge. That's been a lot of fun. So each day you have to take a picture of a certain thing, idea, concept, whatever, and post it. So I've had the pictures all done for like a week or two, but seeing some of the other pictures that these people are posting, I'm like, God damn, I need to up my game here. So, and then you'll have ideas like that day. It's like, shit, how am I going to make this happen? Like today's picture is of a mask. So I was like, okay, that's simple. I can just wear some spooky outfit and get a picture of like close up of my face. Now I've got an idea that I want to do. Like, okay, we've got the Jason Voorhees masks that we got last season. So let me see if I can somehow recreate Camp Crystal Lake.
Nice.
Now I got to figure out how I'm going to do that because I haven't actually posted today's picture yet. But also, my friend Kaiju Kittens is putting on this haunted hot tub uh, contest. So I've been busy building that the last few weeks. I think I'm basically done. I actually showed some pictures of that just like when I first started building it because I was really excited about it. And Jess was like, you probably shouldn't post those because that'll warp the judges' perception of all of them. Might make them a little biased. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Come to find out, she's the judge for the whole thing. So,
Shout out to Jessica Starr.
yeah. As always, she's amazing. But yeah, I've put a lot more work into it since then, and I'm really excited to show it off. Um, so that'll be a lot of fun. Been playing some other stuff too. I'm about to hop back into Elder Scrolls Online for Chipmunk's machinima that he does on YouTube. Shout out to the Chipmunk Show. And I had a little bit of time before that was going on, so I am like, okay, I need some sort of spooky game. I love playing spooky games this time of year. And I've had Alan Wake 2 purchased for a while. So I wanted to finally get into that. I loved the first game. I enjoyed American Nightmare, even though that kind of seemed like a glorified DLC. Haven't played Control. I need to play Control, but I really wanted to play the second game. So, yeah, I've made some really good progress into that. I've been up late most nights playing that lately, too. So, yeah, it's been awesome. I don't know.
I forgot to mention, just as you were talking, because you mentioned ESO. So the other night, and this is actually not long after I finished Shattered Space, and I'll sort of expand on this in a minute, but I had a real urge to play Skyrim, and I haven't played Skyrim for ages. So I hopped back to Skyrim, and my unmodded save, and there's still a few achievements that I haven't got, and so in the year of our Lord 2024, I'm still popping achievements in Skyrim. I was playing that and having a marvelous time. It's something about this time of year that really, I don't know, and because some of the themes,
Draugr and everything,
and some of the themes of Shattered Space got me thinking about Skyrim. So I just had a great time playing Skyrim again for the first time.
We'll definitely get into it, but there's definitely some parts of it that remind me of multiple Elder Scrolls games.
Yeah.
But God, I mean, I love Elder Scrolls, of course. It's what brought me into Bethesda. But I guess we can go ahead and get into that. So overall, what do you think of it? Like, do you like it? Do you think it was lackluster, like what seems to be the general consensus online? Like, what are your thoughts on it?
So I think overall, Shattered Space as getting tongue-tied already. As an expansion, I think it's really solid. And we're going to talk about wider opinions later. But for me, I think I always expected this to feel like what it ended up being, which is effectively, it feels like a chapter of the game, a part of the game that could have easily been there at launch. We all knew that the Varun stuff was missing. And I was just so keen to experience that and get that new lore and meet this new faction. And so when I think about my time with it, and I've played the whole thing, I've done all the side quests. I think about 16 hours in total is my playtime. And
you told me you finished the Way Shrine quest. I was like, really?
Yeah, done the Way Shrines. Okay. So I've kind of done everything you can do in Shattered Space, and I've definitely come away from it feeling. I mean, I guess my two main things to sum it up, because I could talk for ages and ages, but to keep it simple, me personally, I am really satisfied. It gave me so much of what I wanted, which is basically more Starfield and more parts of this universe that they're building that I was kind of expecting and wanted. It also, it gave us this. It gave us this hub area that you didn't have to leave, that you stuck to. All the exploring was in this one area, which I quite liked. But what I suppose I would say is if I was to... I think it's probably a bit expensive, this as an expansion. But
that's one criticism I've heard.
Yeah, because it's not short. It just... there's a lot of talk about how this didn't transform the game and stuff, which, you know, I didn't think it ever needed to do. But for me personally, it delivered loads of things I wanted. So, like, cool characters, cool lore stuff, fun new monsters, new weapons, just a new area to explore, more Starfield. But I think if you were expecting maybe a whole new wide experience, it probably didn't deliver that for what the cost is. But my caveat to that is that doesn't make any difference to me because I paid for the premium edition of the game.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what they thought a lot of people had done already.
Yeah, so I was like, it just made no difference. I'd already paid for it. I got the extra stuff. I got the early access. I got the soundtrack. I got the credits for the Creation Club. So in terms of value for me, I loved it. Like, and I could see myself replaying it as well. And I don't want to go in on like the discourse stuff now because I think we could touch on that later. But for me personally, it delivered for me. Like, there's so much more I want from Starfield, and definitely stuff I would like to see in the future. But this, as an expansion, it gave me, like I say, nearly 20 more hours of the game, a fresh
You mean it was
quest.
more than 5?
Yeah, more than an afternoon. I had a really great time with it. It looks great. It sounds great. The new monsters are creepy as hell. Like, you and I...
Especially there's one that reminds me of a Terramorph.
Yeah.
Like, and those things are...
The things with, like, these vortex horrors with, like, the human faces and these sort of scorpion-like legs and stuff, or arachnid-like legs.
Yeah, that's what I was referring to.
We, like... I think when Starfield launched, you and I were both on the same page that pretty much from the get-go, we were hooked and sucked in. Like, I remember hearing criticism saying it took people a few hours to get into Starfield, and it didn't really kick off until...
It's way too short. Like, if you played a Bethesda game, like, you could mainline Skyrim in like 20 hours if you just stick to the main quest. But they don't expect you to do that.
Yeah,
it's a DLC. That's a main game. This is a DLC, so of course it's going to be shorter.
Yeah, but I think, in terms... back when the main game launched, I was... You and I've said on this podcast, I was so impressed with this new world, new universe, new lore that they're building, and I was sold. I'm on board. I don't really need it to be the greatest gameplay experience ever. I'm just sucked in. And the same with this DLC, I was sucked in. I love the new characters, I love the new quests, and I feel like sometimes that I think people out there can be contrarian when they talk about their opinions of things, and they can be protective of stuff they love. If I didn't like this, I would say I didn't like it, and I think, do I have bad taste? It's not perfect. No, it's not perfect, but I don't think it's my taste, because I know there's lots of people out there who do really like this expansion, who do like Starfield. For me, it delivered. It gave me more Starfield. It gave such a different... we'll talk about like quest highlights and stuff in a minute, but even from the get-go on this Shattered Space DLC, different vibe, darker, weirder, sci-fi vibe, and I was like, I'm in straight away, and I felt that all the way through. And it's like, yes, there's some other criticisms that we can touch on, but it delivered, and for me, I'm more than satisfied with Shattered Space.
And the deeper you go, the darker it gets once you find out really what's going on, which we'll get into that. But yeah, I mean, we mentioned Jessica Starr earlier, and I think she kind of put it best when they were talking about it on the Fallout feed. Like, if you like Starfield, you'll like this because it's more of that.
Yeah.
But if you didn't like Starfield, then chances are you probably won't like it. But yeah, that's kind of like, and I was kind of streaming a little bit of it a couple weeks ago. I started it with my level 14 streaming character. Which that was a completely different experience going through it with my level like 68 or 69 main character. Just that first, oh man, I died so many times when you get to the Oracle. But I mean, I did push through and I did make it to Varun Kai. So I mean, there is that. But yeah, I mean, the planet, it's completely different than anything else you'll really see out there.
Yep.
Just the colors of it, and like I said, it's just, and there, for the lack of a better phrase, it just feels really alien. compared to a
Yeah.
lot of the other places. So it kind of gave me Morrowind vibes. Not so much like the giant mushrooms and everything, but just how different it feels compared to a lot of the other areas. And I spent a lot of time just wandering around taking pictures. Like I took pictures of the other planet because again, Jessica Starr, she gave me tips on how to get pictures of planets from moons, because I can't tell you how many times I was like, okay, that is awesome, I need to start getting pictures like that. And then I would go to where you would think the side of the planet or moon would be that faces the planet, and it's not there. So I had to, it's just you keep going around different parts of the world. Like I would go to the complete opposite end of the planet to where you would think it is. Just keep traveling until you finally catch it, and then go and sleep in your ship until it's not hidden under a shadow.
Yeah.
So I got pictures of the other planet that you find in that solar system, and Varun Kai. But and then I was like, okay, now that I know how to do this, I need to get a picture of a ring planet. So I went and took pictures of Saturn. But yeah, it's just that it's so, like, again, different from everything else. Like everything revolves around the Great Serpent. It kind of shapes their entire culture. And I didn't know that there were different sections of House Varun going into this. You learn a lot about House Varun itself, which I've heard people talking about this. I think even Tom on the Starfield Lorecast was talking about this with Juicehead, and he presented this question: would you think that this was always going to be a part of the main game, but it got cut out? Because they kind of felt like it was. Because again, we mentioned this on the show, like this might be getting ahead, but House Varun was just so conspicuously absent from the main game.
Yeah. Before Starfield launched, the main game, I remember, and I think you can hear me on this podcast in one of our pre-launch episodes, where I was reading the description of House Varun, and I was just like, this sounds like the weird one. This sounds like the weird faction. I can't wait to get involved with them. So you're completely, you've like hit the nail on the head saying how it's different, how it feels alien. And this feels, could this be part of the main game? Yeah, I think it was, because they always described them this way before it launched. And I don't want to say they purposefully cut it out, because I don't think they did. I think they definitely were working on it specifically as an expansion. What I mean is, I don't think they held it back
obviously
purposefully.
They had plans for it.
Yeah, I think they've always had the plans, and it delivered the stuff I was waiting for. That weirdness, that you've said as well how it gave you the Morrowind vibes. Like this is the most Elder Scrolls that Starfield has got so far.
Even the three houses. Like, that's kind of how Morrowind is, with the three houses of the Dunmer, with the Redoran, the Telvanni, and Hlaalu.
I was playing it, and I mentioned at the start of this episode, like, I got the itch to play Starfield and to play Skyrim, and that's because of playing Shattered Space. Like when you're doing you're walking the path and stuff, when you get to the planet and having to do pick up the statues and
join,
here,
that was cool
through the cave. It's just like I felt like I was playing an Elder Scrolls game, and that was like, it's really strange to me to hear people be really harsh on this when I'm like, I'm not sure what people are looking for, because for me, yes, exploration is different. That's about it. There's so much Bethesda vibes in here that they have done in their previous games. Of course, it's going to be different. I've
even heard people say they thought it felt empty. I'm like, what are you talking about?
I feel, again, we're jumping ahead a bit, but I feel a bit insane sometimes, because I'm like, I don't know. I wonder what game people are playing, because I'm a Bethesda fan just as much as other Bethesda fans, and it's strange to me that this hasn't delivered, that people have been so harsh on this, because this gave me loads of juicy Bethesda lore. There is lots of talking, there's lots to learn. It's got the Elder Scrolls feel, it's got the weirdness that they promised over a year ago before the game launched, and I'm more than happy with this as an expansion. This feels like a a worthy, chunky addition to the universe that we have said. It feels like that the main game was just the beginning, and there's so much opportunity. And I hope that, you know, production does continue on Starfield, and maybe talk about that at the end. Like, I don't think it is going to stop, but because I think there's so much potential. There continues to be potential here, and this feels like the missing piece that I wanted. And it gave me loads of new, fresh vibes that I haven't had from Starfield yet. So, yeah, I'm really pleased with it.
So, I guess we can go ahead and get into the story. So, I mean, because we've kind of been talking about it a little bit already. Yeah. So, I've heard some people, again, this kind of gets into the discourse, but I've heard some people that were kind of upset with the fact that you're kind of forced to join House Arun. I was completely fine with it. I thought that was cool, and the way that you go about doing that, I loved that. I posted pictures of that path. The Serpent's Path is what they call it.
That's it. Yeah.
And I loved the shot that I mean, no, not tooting my own horn, but I love the shot that I took overlooking that jump.
Yeah.
When you have to jump over that gap where the waterfall. Yeah. That one I was particularly proud of. But yeah, I thought it was cool. And then you get to see this space that Shinan Varun lived in, and there's a portrait of him there. So basically, it starts out, you get a distress call. You have to basically just beat the first quest, one small step, and then grav jump to, because this all revolves around the grav drive and how it's being used by Anasco, come to find out. I think that's what his name is. But you grav jump to a planet that doesn't really have a quest tied to it, and you get a distress call from this space station called the Oracle. So you go and board the Oracle, and you see these vortex people just kind of talking to each other. And then of course you have to fight some too, because of course some of them go nuts. But you don't really know what's going on at that point. So basically you clear the Oracle out and keep talking to Anasco, who can't hear you at this point. But you power the station up, and it automatically grav jumps you to Varun Kai. And how did you feel about that opening there? It just kind of throws you in the mix of everything.
Yeah, it's what's funny is on our previous episode, I think I talked about how I did that mission where oh, sorry, my doorbell just rang. I don't need to get that delivery now because my wife's home. Anyway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There was a mission I did where, I might have talked to you about it off recording, whereas it's the 0G mission. I think it was a bounty hunter stuff, and I had so much fun with that because I hadn't done a lot of 0G stuff in Starfield.
There wasn't a lot. There was only like 2 or 3 spots where it was really utilized.
And this is like, no, you're in 0G and
the whole thing.
Yeah, and it's I had like a few skill points to use already, like banked as well, so I instantly added one to the 0, like the astrodynamics or whatever it is, the 0G one that lets you navigate sort of more efficiently. But that opening mission, all about atmosphere. Straight away, you're on there. This feels like a darker, weirder Starfield. It feels like you feel like you're going somewhere that you haven't before. The Phantoms obviously instantly set it apart, and it's like, I don't want to say they're jumping the shark, but it felt like they're taking the next step now, because they are really hamming up the sci-fi weirdness, and from the music, from the environment, from the Phantoms, the conversations you're having. So before you get to Varun Kai, that opening mission, I'm just like, I'm playing it in the dark with my headphones on. I'm like, this is borderline horror, it's borderline horror game. I'm having a great time. I should mention I play on very hard as well, so even those initial encounters I was having a bit of trouble, and
oh man,
I instantly found like a legendary like melee weapon as well, and I was like, okay, they're going to maybe encouraging some melee use.
They got some pretty nice swords, that you can find.
And I went out of my way. I made a decision from when I started, kind of after like the first hour of playing. I was like, right, I'm just going to use the new stuff that I find. Like I have like my usual weapons and stuff, but so you find like a Varun spacesuit and Varun weapons. So I started to favourite all of those, and I was like, I want to experience this new stuff they're giving me, even if it's not the best weaponry or best protection. I'm just going to use it to get a feel for stuff and sort of soak it up and experience it. So I really loved that opening mission. Like I say, it felt like taking that not again jumping the shark, just taking the next step into sci-fi weirdness, and I thought it was a really great opener of really moody stuff, before you get to Varun Kai, where the real lore dump sort of starts to happen. So yeah, I really liked the opening mission.
We've talked about Elder Scrolls quite a bit, but there are a few spots where it kind of reminds me of the Salem Witch Museum in Fallout 4. It's like you walk in, everybody's dead, and you're like, okay, something is here, something's going on. What is going on? And then you finally get the big reveal at the end. You're like the Collender ship. I don't know if you ever encountered that, but yeah, a lot of those moments remind me of the Salem Witch Museum. It's like where in it does have that horror feel, and this first mission definitely did. Where you're like, okay, what is going on? I'm being attacked by ghosts, because that's kind of what it feels like, and then.
Just like one of the initial long hallways, like I'm like a massive Alien fan as well, and so and although the color scheme and stuff is quite different, just the long hallway, and there's a phantom that appears right at the end just as you're getting closer, and I like they keep disappearing, don't they, when you get near them, so you can't
they'll teleport,
you can't quite see what's going on, and so instantly I'm just like on edge, but yeah, really soaking it up, and that horror feel. They really ramped it up for certainly the initial mission, and there's a bit more horror later as well. But it was my kind of flavor, like right away.
So you finally, after you clear it out, you power the ship back up, you get your gravity back, and then once you get to the end of where the I guess essentially the cockpit is, the bridge of the ship. It'll just automatically grav drive jump to Varun Kai, and you go and you find some of the elders, and you talk to them, and basically you find out something's been going on, which obviously, and another one of the vortex phantoms, I think is what they're officially called, shows up, and it's actually Jinan Varun's grandson, Anasko. And everybody, he's essentially the speaker for the Great Serpent. Like he's, I guess, essentially the priest or the Pope, if you if you want to call him that, for the Great Serpent. But nobody can apparently understand him. Like he's talking and no one else can hear him.
Yeah, they can't hear him,
but you can. And did you take Andrasia with you?
I did. I was married to Andrasia, and so she came along to to Varun Kai with me. She did, and she was instantly
I really wanted
getting involved.
But I couldn't at this point. I did with Captain Fuckface, my streaming character. But I couldn't with my main character because I'm in New Game Plus 2. And with this one, I skipped the main story. So, and I haven't gotten far enough along to where she shows up again. And I'm like, I'm not going through and getting all of the artifacts just for her to show up and take her. So I took Sarah. But I did with my streaming character because he's eventually going to marry her. They're not, at that point yet. But a lot of people, again, with the discourse, have been saying that she doesn't really feel like she adds anything. At least not as much as she should. And I've heard other people say, no, she actually has a whole redemption arc and says a lot. But she did mention something here that I thought was kind of interesting, because here you first hear what the House of Varun's creed is, and that is all shall serve. Mm-hmm. And you're talking to one of the elders, and you meant after having a conversation, kind of a quote unquote conversation with Inosuke, because he can feel that you're there, but he can't really see you or talk to you at this point.
Yeah.
So he's just kind of speaking into the void, thinking that you're the Great Serpent. And you hear the creed, and you mention it to the redhead guy. I'm blanking on his name. But you mention that he says all shall serve, and Andreja is like, wait, he said that? And so she does have little comments there. That's about as far as I'm at with my streaming character. So I don't know how else she contributes to the story.
I mean,
but,
I have to say, like, just to quickly jump in, Andreja, if basically contributed to almost every single main quest conversation I had, plus other, side quests. And it's like, those are just more general and broad, but she continuously made comments that kind of linked to what was happening. And at one point, the quest with the was it with the zealots and hostages? I said to Eric before we started recording that I've diarized my playthrough, so I have scatterbrain notes. I was just trying to find it. Yeah, I think it's the one with the zealots and the hostages. She completely resolved the final confrontation for me. And she also did that with another mission, sort of later on as well. You can refer to her right with the final decision, and I think it was with the zealot leader, basically whether to start a fight with him right there or calm him down and sort of keep the peace.
You can kind of do that with Sarah too, because that's who I took with me.
Yeah.
Because I actually after I'd started, I got to the mission to where you can marry her, so I went and married Sarah.
Yeah.
And then came back, but yeah, she did have, like, she contributed as well. But I think that having somebody who is House Varun would just add that much more color to it.
Andreja's dialogue is way more relevant. There was a quest, and I'm looking for one of the houses where you're looking for the son who has been kind of ousted.
Varric?
Yeah. And in the bar, like, before you find the contact, is it Tanner? I think his contact is. His buddy is.
That sounds right.
Andreja and I were having a conversation about what is it you become? Not chosen. What do they say? You are.
It kind of depends on what statues you choose.
Yeah,
because which ones you choose determine what your title is. I got Vindicator.
Yeah, I got Harbinger, but it's like I can't remember.
They do kind of call you the Chosen.
Yeah, something like that. And she was talking specifically about that and referencing, how she knows what it means and how important it is. So yeah, it's strange to hear when people say, Andreja doesn't contribute at all. So I don't know if that's a mix of what your affinity level is with her, what your own personality traits are, or if people, to be honest with you, are just skipping dialogue and not paying attention. Because for me personally,
I get the feeling that a lot of people just sped through
I think
I
know
get
they
their
did
reactions out.
I know that's definitely the case. Which is a shame, because for me she contributed loads, and it felt right having her there the whole time. I think most people are in agreement. She is the best companion from the main game. Everyone thinks this. She's one of the best Bethesda companions ever. And she contributed great. I don't know what more people were expecting from the contributions of a companion. Like, do you want to be able to take control of her? Do you want a whole new Andreja side quest? There's no reason why we can't get another Andreja side quest in the future. That's not what this expansion was about. This was introducing House Varun, or not introducing, but showing them off at a deeper level and helping them deal with this catastrophic event that has happened to their planet and to their city. It wasn't. This expansion isn't about Andreja, and I think if people wanted that and didn't get it, fine. But I tried to lean more towards focusing on what the expansion is and not what it isn't. When talking about
that's it. Yeah, and I think that has a lot to do with it. It's like, why can't people just appreciate things for what they are and not what they want them to be?
Yeah. I want more Andreja. I would have loved to have gone there and there to have been a brand new Andreja companion quest line. Of course I would. Am I upset that it's not there? No, not really. There's room to get that in the future. There's lots of other great stuff I've had with Andreja. I'm sort of assessing and experiencing Shattered Space for what it did give me, Not, oh, I wanted a new Andreja quest line. Yeah, I do want one.
Yeah.
Did I get one? No, I'm not going to lose sleep about it, to be honest.
I didn't expect another Andreja quest.
Neither
I just
did I.
wanted to hear her dialogue.
I got what I
because,
expected was these interjections into conversation and just commenting on stuff. It's like, yeah, that's what I expected, and that's what I got. Like every other Fallout and Bethesda companion ever, basically.
And, Todd made the comparison to Far Harbor, which whether or not he should have done that is up for debate. But yeah, it's like with Far Harbor where, there's the whole thing with Dima. Yeah, you're of course going to take Nick Valentine. Of course, going into it, you don't really know that. But yeah, because Nick has that whole history with Dima, which you come to find out.
Can I just say as well, like, I really love Far Harbor, like a lot of people do, but I don't know why lots of people seem to glaze over the really crappy part of Far Harbor, which is that mission, the sort of quest where you're inside doing the
Dima's Blue Nightmare.
It's horrible.
Oh my god,
it's terrible. It's awful. It's one of the worst things in any Bethesda game ever. But people are like, "Oh yeah, Far Harbor was the greatest thing ever." Well, yeah, it was pretty good apart from that terrible part that dragged the whole DLC down. But
yeah, and it's like with Shivering Isles, how regarded that is. The addiction quest that I mentioned on that episode of Tapes from the Waste with Jessica Starr, that is a nightmare. I actually stopped playing for a while because I got so frustrated with that. So,
that comparison to Far Harbor, this is another thing I've said to you off record, and we're going all around the houses here. We're trying to talk about story, but like comparing it to Far Harbor, I think people are hanging on to the words of developers and directors far too much. They're going to speak in a certain way. They have to. It's the same with any developer and any studio. When Todd Howard says this is like Far Harbor, I can accept that it's a great comparison because it's going to an enclosed location where everything's there on the location. That's about as far as you want to take the comparison. And pretty sure the person who is the lead quest designer for Shattered Space was the same one for Far Harbor as well. And it's like, well, yeah, that's another reason to make a good comparison. To make that comparison, it doesn't mean that they're both gonna have the same fundamental companion experiences or weaponry or enemy types or anything like that. And I'm glad that Shattered Space doesn't have the Dima's Blue Nightmare equivalent quest line, because that was horrible. so I don't really hang on to it too much when Todd Howard says this is going to be like Far Harbor. I think it's a fair comparison. If he'd have said this is going to be like Nuka World, then maybe... No, if he said it was going to be like Nuka World on tour from Fallout 76, I'd have come out saying, well, that was a stupid comparison because Nuka World on tour took place in here. It was like do you know what I mean? Whereas Far Harbor is a more sensible comparison. You're going to a place that's away and everything's enclosed there. I think that's about as far as the comparison goes, and I don't know why people hang on to it.
It's also with how different and creepy Far Harbor felt compared to mainland.
Which I think Varun Kai does.
It's colorful and beautiful, but it can definitely be really creepy. Story-wise, I guess we can kind of briefly talk about the end. So you come to find out that this was all done by Anasco.
So what's happened? Experiment. For people that don't know, the Citadel is sort of enclosed in this big.
That was a really cool location too.
And there's
Scaled Citadel.
There's all these gravity anomalies, and all the vortex horrors are coming out all over the place, like you've said. But sorry, continue.
You come to find out that this whole thing was a big experiment gone wrong or gone right, depending on whoever's perspective it is. He's trying to use the grav drive, and the vortex people are basically this army he's trying to raise, and you have to decide whether or not to go along with it or confront him, because he believes that he's performing the will of the Great Serpent. So what did you think with that whole thing, and what did you end up doing?
So I absolutely loved it, and I'll give you a couple of reasons why. So I don't know if I've made this comparison before, but this is where Starfield got very close to. It's a very similar storyline to what happens in Lost, and that's where there's this combination of science and faith, and experiments gone wrong, and weird experiments, and spoiler alert, there's this big incident on Lost where an experiment goes wrong and it causes loads of havoc and loads of magnetic anomalies, and there's time traveling and stuff like that. There's loads of crazy stuff. It's very similar to what happens here, and there's like a guy at the middle of it that, believes that, he's doing something for the greater good or for the protection of the Earth or the universe or whatever. So I got those vibes when playing it, and as I got more and more along, it's that melding of, like I say, it felt like Skyrim, but also Starfield. It's fantasy and science and faith and religion and science kind of melding together. Like how Assassin's Creed does that sort of thing. It's where it mixes all that stuff together. I think,
Yeah.
I'm like a casual fan of Assassin's Creed. I prefer what Starfield's doing here, where it sort of leans really hard into the deep, the sort of the lore and a bit more the classic sci-fi. So I
love Assassin's Creed, but
Assassin's Creed is. I'm not sure it's as smartly written as something like Starfield is, because I think Starfield is written incredibly well. So it all gets revealed. Yeah, I thought it was super cool, and then you're faced with this decision about what to do. Now, I don't know if this is true because I haven't tested it for myself, but apparently you can only make one choice here, and if you make the wrong choice, the game reloads the save and it kills you.
Really?
So I've only read this on Reddit.
I must have made the right choice.
Yeah, that's what so the choice I made was to cut the power and not free all of the phantoms. So basically kill them all, if you like. That felt like the right thing to do. I will
say, though, that heel turn that Inosko makes was kind of unexpected, because the whole time you're trying to find him and catch up with him and bring him back to society.
Oh man, I saw the seeds. From after when you meet him in the cave. I was just like, red flags.
That was a nightmare too. Oh my god,
red flags all over this guy. Like, clearly he's the, sort of this, narcissism and self-belief. It's the villain that believes they're doing something for the greater good, but they're not. So yeah, red flags all over the place. I kind of saw it coming, but it was super cool. I liked it, and I turned off the power, saved the city, and all that. It's a shame that the whole thing kind of goes away, and because it all crumbles.
Yeah, that's one thing I've seen is people are kind of like, man, I would have loved to have been able to explore the scaled citadel afterward. But yeah, I mean, getting back to it, and that was kind of another Morrowind comparison. Is in Morrowind you have to get the 3 houses to proclaim you the Nerevarine.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like that with this, where you have to unite the 3 houses, which apparently have had a lot of issues with each other over the years, to give you their code for this gun that's supposed to reverse the anomalies and allow you to explore the scaled citadel.
I love that sequence, man, where you finally do set it off and it's firing at the citadel. Like, this is what I mean. Like, there's some awesome set pieces in Shattered Space, and I loved how, like I say, hard sci-fi that felt. This giant, basically, laser shooting at the thing. It was really cool. I like that.
Yeah. So yeah, I did the right thing, of course, also, and I which again, it's like, okay, you're killing a bunch of people by doing this, but you probably have to kill them anyway, because he's wanting to raise this whole army, and it was that whole thing kind of reminded me of fighting them reminded me of fighting the synths in Fallout 4 also, where they leave something behind that shows you what they are. Like with synths, it's the synth component, but these, it's vortex shards.
Yeah.
So yeah, you piss him off by killing his army, but you still have to fight a lot of them anyway, because a lot of them have already been freed. And you do have to fight the zealots regardless in the fights as well, right? So that was tough.
Yeah, because they're basically storming the citadel, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, which it's like, okay, they're kind of helping me.
Yeah.
So why do I have to kill them? But I mean, you've been killing them this whole time anyway. Yeah. So you get up to the part where there's this huge machine that's kind of powering the whole thing. And of course, he's got his final like monologue, like, "You're not going to stop me. This whole thing, it's too late." Mm-hmm. Like, okay, yeah, watch me. And then there's a really tough battle that is actually where I'm at right now. I tried so many times, and I swear I killed Inosko so many times, but he kept coming back. Yeah, he's like Jason Voorhees. It's like, dude, I just killed you. How are you back? Because there's 4 different parts. You gotta kill him, and then you've got to destroy 4 different parts of this machine to stop it. And I got to the point where I destroyed 2, and then Inosko appears again. I'm like, how are you back again? I've put you on your ass a couple of times now.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I'm playing in normal.
Yeah.
So
so you are right at the end. Like, obviously there's like a post mission quest and a bit of catching up with the characters and
conversation,
stuff. Which I won't.
You do get a player house out of it, which is nice.
Yes.
I've actually got a mod that will furnish it for you, so you don't have to go through all that.
Nice.
But that is your kind of reward. There's this vacant house that's been there the entire time, and it's like you can't access it until apparently the very end. After the end.
I'm pretty sure when it comes the final decision you have to make, there is a choice that you can make that will make a lot of people hostile towards you as well, which I know I didn't make.
Nice.
Thankfully. But yeah, that final battle, I was playing on very hard, as I said, and I forgot I just forgot to drop the difficulty down. I died so many times. I had no med packs, and
he can one-shot you. It's kind of nuts.
It was really, really difficult, and I had to reload. The only save I had was like just before I went into the Citadel, so I had to reload that save. Go and stock up on med packs and stuff, and then I zipped through it. Like, I ran past loads of the robots and stuff like that just to get through back to that final part. And
I should have stocked up on more digipicks, because there's a lot of unlockable containers there that will give you more health packs and all that stuff, and ammo, and space suits and things like that if you have the inventory space for it, which I didn't really. I really needed to talk to the goods exchange dude, which that guy's a dick. He's so rude.
Yeah.
But I really needed to I should have stocked up on digipicks, and he doesn't actually sell health kits. You don't actually get a vendor that will give you health packs until later on.
I had to go back to
I made a few trips to the den.
I had to
because that's another thing. You'll find quite a bit of contraband as you're exploring too. So I made quite a few trips to the den.
One thing I will say, which you just kind of mentioned there, you talked about all the things that you've got to unlock, like crates you've got to unlock and stuff you can find. If I did have another criticism about Starfield, it would be that it really annoys me that the loot system seems to be so random that you can just pick a really difficult lock or fight your way through something, and the loot at the end is terrible.
Master locks just have ammo.
Yeah, and I just think I don't really understand that. It feels like a bit of a troll from the developers. It's like,
sure I've heard Ray talk about it. Oh no, that was Fallout 1, but I think he's talked about it with Starfield as well.
It's like, that's a luck of the draw type thing. Well, no, I think this isn't it's not live service. It's not that kind of deal. It's like, look, just lock it in, make the good stuff be behind those hard locks and those hard experiences and those hard bosses, because you can just find better weapons and better gear randomly, like anywhere outside of these locked places. So sometimes, I don't know, it depends what mood I'm in. I won't try and unlock everything. If I feel like I'm just happy to take my time, I will have a go at it. But if I'm not desperate, I don't bother, because you'll just spend 5 minutes trying to break through a lock and then there's nothing in there. It's like, oh, well.
I mean, thankfully they did update it to where you don't lose your digipick if you have to backtrack.
That is much better. That is, and I do appreciate that.
There are a few places with big reward chests, like those big, not spherical, but kind of, you know what I'm talking about with those big loot chests.
Yeah.
Like you do find those a few places throughout the story, but yeah, a lot of the times it's like you'll have like an expert or master lock, and it'll just have ammo and maybe one piece of like an outfit piece or something.
Yeah.
But that's basically the story. You kind of have to put an end to his nightmare experiments. Yeah. We've kind of talked about gameplay a little bit, but what do you think about the gameplay?
I really like it. Like I say, it's more Starfield. There's new weapons to play with, which I spent the whole time just cycling through the Varun pistols and machine guns and the heavy Varun stuff. How to go with the melee stuff as well. My character is a level 108, and I have quite a few decent perks spread across lots of combat stuff. So I got to experience a lot of different weaponry. But like general gameplay, like the exploring, getting around. I've heard people complain about using the Rev 8 on the planet, which I kind of get because it is bumpy terrain, but
it's really rocky.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me too much. It's not too hard to get around. But I think for me, the main takeaway gameplay wise is there were a few quests on this, which I did really, really love. I think I really liked the main quest, and I loved meeting the new characters. As I said earlier, there is a lot of talking, there's a lot of conversation, and there's a lot of lore dumping. But and I get some people don't want that. I, with Starfield, have approached this kind of deeper maybe than any Bethesda game that I've played. I read everything. I listen to everything, and that I love Fallout. I love Skyrim, Oblivion or whatever. Sometimes I will skip through stuff on there. I don't read every terminal in Fallout. I just don't. With this, I read everything, every computer file, every slate, because I'm on board now. They've sold Starfield to me, so I love it.
Just adds that much more color to the
and I think maybe that's why I've got such a fondness for it, because I've allowed it to sort of envelop me. So I loved all the new conversations, but couple of my highlights was the duel between the brothers. Have you done that side quest with the two brothers that are angry with each other?
Sounds
you become the second,
the duel,
and you have to basically decide whether to talk them out of it or have them face down. And it's
I did do that.
You have no combat yourself in it. It's purely a conversational side quest. And like one of the brothers is an alcoholic, his wife's died, and the other brother's angry at him, and they challenge each other to a duel. And
because the drunk guy apparently didn't he like sell his mom's remains or something?
Yeah, or tried to sell his mum's ashes, and it's just like I don't know. There's like I've got brothers, and we argue and fall out, but we love each other, and there was something about this. Like this quest line that was just very, I don't know, it just caught me at the right time, and I absolutely loved it. I was fully invested, and it can end a few different ways. Mine ended quite tragically, and I had to take a moment. I was like, wow, that was really impressive like this nice little character piece in all this madness of what's happening on Varun Kai. I loved that quest line. I really did.
So I did the option where you spike their drinks.
Yes, I did nothing. I chose to do nothing. So what did they? So did you spike? Because let me guess, and you tell me if this is what happens. I thought if I spiked their drinks, it was going to kill them both.
No,
because I thought
I kind of thought that too.
The other second that was there, I thought she seemed a bit shifty, and because she wanted you to spike the drinks. She's like, no. Don't stop this, and I thought you kind of want them both dead, so I did nothing.
They did pick up on something going on. They're like, okay, what have you done? You should have just let this right out. We're gonna and basically they're like, okay, we're gonna go sleep, and we'll finish this another time. So this isn't over, and that was kind of the end of it.
Oh, okay, but so they're both
but nobody's
still.
dead.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. hopefully they'll come to their senses and not kill each other.
Yeah.
But they very well could.
Yeah, one of them died for
like
me
down the road,
which is very tragic. And I didn't think that was going to happen. Like I was like, wow, they actually went there. What else did I like? I'm just skipping through my diary here.
There's that one quest where you're being sent. I can't remember. Is this part of the main story where you have to find? I think it's somebody's brother. And this is another one that kind of reminded me of the Salem Witch Museum, where you go to this facility and you see a lot of dead people, and it turns out that the person you're looking for kind of became a monster, and he's the one that's been going around killing everybody.
Oh,
like there's that one part where he jumps up on something and his face is all like crazy and his eyes are glowing, and I think that's part of the main story, but
I can't remember now.
It kind of gave me the horror vibes.
Yeah. There's a lot of horror in this. One thing we haven't mentioned at all is the Redeemed. What did you think about them? These guys that just sprint towards you and try to bash your face in.
Oh my god, yeah, those guys are tough.
They are. They completely caught me off guard.
Dude, get out of my face. So I've got an ability, like I've upgraded my jetpack to the part where when you use the boost pack, it'll light them on fire and sometimes knock them down.
I've got that. Yeah.
And when you aim, it'll slow time. So that has really helped with those guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
But even just emptying a clip still won't put them down. Like they're still alive for a little bit longer.
Yeah, they're just sprinting towards you, and they got these big, like, sort of, like they're like mini mechs kind of thing, or they just got some like weird. I don't want to say Captain America, but sort of like Iron Man type suits on. That's got so they got loads of armor, and they're all really
that was
angry.
another part that made that last fight so tough. Is you're trying to go through, and they'll just like rush up on you. And I'm like, dude, get out of my face and let me finish. Let me finish this, damn it.
I really liked the heirloom quest until at the very end. They didn't give me the stuff. I thought they'd let me keep it all, so that was annoying. You have to retrieve heirlooms from Tomb of the Fang.
Yeah,
so I really liked that. Some of my other stuff here.
God, some of those weapons are a nightmare to face too. Like, there's pretty much all of their ranged weapons are energy weapons. And there's the
like launcher one.
It's basically like a Gatling laser.
Yeah.
Which is annoying. And there's the one that shoots out that big ball of energy.
That one. Constantly. It's just like... And the thing about...
that Penumbra? Is that what it's called?
I think so, yeah. And these guys, these phantoms, they're always so far away from you as well, just like hiding behind a little rock or something. You're like, where the fucking hell are you? Like, you're firing these giant energy rockets at me, just like knocking me out left, right, and center.
Yeah, I think that's what they are. Like when you loot them, it's some sort of missile that they're shooting at you. But oh man, those are a nightmare. But yeah, I'm loving all the new weapons. I'm wearing a Varun outfit. I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, I didn't go through and change my spacesuit or my weapon out like you did. Like I'm using like some sort of like legendary AA-99, but I've still got the Mantis suit. But yeah, I mean, it is really cool just seeing how much more variety was added. Now, like I said, I didn't do the Way Shrine quest like you did, because that gave me horror flashbacks to the Knights of the Nine quest with Oblivion. I think it's a little bit better than that. Like with Oblivion, like they just give you this crappy map section that doesn't describe anything of what you're trying to look for. He's just like, go find these 9 way shrines out and he doesn't tell you where to go. He just gives you this map that doesn't help at all. I mean, once I kind of figured out that each one of these is outside of main city, it's fine, but it's like going around like a chicken with your head cut off, just trying to find all these stupid way shrines. And then if you do anything evil, you have to repeat the whole process. Yeah. So when I got that quest in Starfield, I'm like, I'm not doing that.
It's not quite as like harsh on you. It's more just, I think it's more just an exploration thing, and you get little buffs as well from each of the way shrines.
That's good.
But the last, like, I'd done everything. It was like the last thing I did because I'd done everything and all the other side quests, and it was the only quest playing Shattered Space where I had to just look up the location of the last one because I was like, I've explored everywhere, and for some reason I just missed like a little mountaintop that I just completely overlooked where one of them sat. So that was the final thing.
I probably could have done that. I just like after it, just like I said, it reminded me of that quest in Oblivion so much. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Okay, so any more gameplay thoughts?
I wish that I thought maybe the promise of the gravity anomalies wasn't great. Like, I'd have just liked to seen that used more, the little bubbles of gravity that you could sort of traverse and go around. I would have liked to seen more of that. But generally, I never found myself bored. There are some missions that are literally, one of them is literally a courier mission. You are just delivering stuff to people,
Yeah.
But I got really in depth with the science mission. There's these two scientists up on the mountain that want you to go and collect samples for them.
Yeah, that was cool.
Loved that mission. Loved that quest. And I think just because the location looks so cool and it feels so fresh, and even like the crash ship, there's a few crash ships. I think some of them are procedurally generated, but just having like a crash ship, like seaweed farms and stuff like that, and the people living around in there.
The groat farms.
Yeah. There was just the whole kind of setting is something that I really enjoyed exploring. And like I said earlier about not using the Rev 8, I didn't mind kind of boosting around. I did use the Rev 8 quite a bit.
I used it a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, but I enjoyed kind of jetpacking around and some of the new creatures.
I saw somebody mention the fact that it looks like they actually included almost like driveways to these places for the Rev 8, which is kind of cool.
Some of the new creatures were cool, and like we haven't really talked about the vortex horrors much, but these sort of like spider-like creatures, they are awesome and they're so creepy. And the teleportation, because they do it as well as the phantoms. I liked that dynamic. I've heard people again say, oh, it's just really fucking annoying that they're teleporting around, and it's like, well, yeah, it is annoying, but it's a new dynamic. It's what these enemies do. You're fighting them, and then they're teleporting away, and you've got to turn around, and you've got to find them. And the creatures do it, and the human phantoms do it as well. So I enjoyed. I don't think I've ever felt more on my toes in combat. Any other point in Starfield
you have
than
to have
I did.
Your head on a swivel, yeah.
Absolutely. And so I really enjoyed all of the combat, all of the random combat. Because Starfield is a good shooter as well. It's got some of the best shooting mechanics of any Fallout game. It's really tight, and you can play it like a shooter in those moments. And there's lots of different weapons to play with. So
it did make me wish that there was a VATS mechanic. Still, with the way they kept teleporting. But and like you said, some of the creatures, like, I haven't found all of them yet. I found almost. I think there's like maybe one or two that I haven't found yet. But there's that one that kind of looks like a dinosaur that's black with like the white streaks. I'm like, it was hard for me to kind of comprehend what I was looking at. I was like, that has to be a trick of the light. No, that's actually what their skin is. It was so, again, different from pretty much anything else that you see.
It is.
The birds kind of looked like ones you find on other planets.
Yeah.
And I posted pictures of this. There was one, this happened a few times, where it was like right there on the ground. Like, you never see them that low to the ground, but it was literally like on the ground, and it kind of got stuck on this this handrail in the location that I was at. So I was able to get some pretty good close-ups of it. And it did eventually fly away, so it wasn't a bug or anything. Like, it eventually did fly off. But it's just, again, I love how different this area feels compared to the rest of the universe.
The mysterious anomalous cave section, that's kind of like in the middle of the main quest, where you start to really discover those vortex horrors. I liked that because, again, it sort of slowed things down a little bit, and you're exploring the cave, and then you reach the big anomaly at the end of it. Is the atmosphere again there was really good, kind of similar to the opening mission as well.
when you entered that cave, did it tell you that your companion couldn't follow you? Because I kept thinking that I was losing Sarah. I'm like, what is going on here?
Yeah, it did.
No, she's still outside. But...
one of my gameplay criticisms, I should say, is once you've finished the main quest, so there's one of the achievements is craft all of the vortex grenades, and if you haven't basically collected every last vortex shard plus the rare vortex, the different shards that you can get from the vortex horrors, if you finish the main quest and you haven't got everything, good luck getting that achievement for the grenades, because the spawn rate of the vortex horrors and the phantoms drops down massively. You know, kind of rightly so, because they're still there a bit, but you've ended the experiment and stuff like that. So it makes sense lore wise, but gameplay wise, I had to start the DLC again on a different save, rush through to that cave, because that cave, Anomalous Cave, is a good farming spot for all the vortex horrors and getting all the materials you need.
Yeah, because all the creatures there, there's little, like those big scorpion looking things. Oh, yeah. Man, that was rough.
The material,
they would swarm you.
Their material drops are random as well. So if you're not collecting all those materials then, and you're just trying to do it after the quest line, like, it's going to take you hours and hours and hours, because you're lucky to get a few phantom humans every hour, and then you'll get like one vortex horror, and then you'll just get a standard vortex shard that you've already got and don't need. So that did annoy me, but I mean, again, it sort of made story sense, but gameplay wise, in terms of, you know, that's what a lot of us do, or certainly what I do sometimes, is you go around and you do clean up like after a main quest, and you explore and you think, oh, I haven't got this achievement. You know, I like to do that. I brought, because I had every other achievement in Starfield before this came out.
Right, yeah.
So I was like, cool, new achievements to get. I've got to get them all. And there was this one achievement for the grenades that I was like, I'm just going to have to sit and let that not be something that I unlock for like months and months. And I couldn't do it. So I had to start the DLC again. I guess that's a criticism, but, you know, I'm nitpicking, really, because generally, gameplay-wise, is very story driven, is very conversation driven, and there's lots of stuff that, you know, I had a lot of fun with the new weapons, the new enemies, the new location. It's just I can see some of the things that people wanted that they didn't get, but for what was there, I had an absolute blast. I played every last nook and cranny of it, and I'm quite happy to go through and play it again properly with another character and make some different choices, and which, from what I understand, don't have a huge impact, but yeah, the experience itself is fun enough for me.
So I've actually got mods loaded, so I kind of gave up on achievements after a while, but yeah, I didn't know about the vortex grenade one. That does, I don't even know. Like, I have gotten into development a little bit in modding, but it hasn't been my focus.
Yeah. Like,
I've been able to craft food just fine, but as far as like upgrades to my weapons and armor, I haven't really got into that a whole lot.
It's something that
same with outposts.
I haven't done it too deeply as well. Like I say, I've done it for the sake of the achievements, and I've kind of zipped through certain things and just, you know, seeing what you can do. But in terms of adding that next layer to an experience in Starfield, I am very much like, okay, I could now spend some time really just investing in, you know, spacesuit design, building bases, you know, building an outpost and the food and stuff. And this is something that they could always add more to as well in the future. So there are a bunch of systems there that I still haven't fully explored, like, completely. The vortex grenades, I don't think you need anything special skill wise. I think that you can pretty much craft them from the get-go. You just need the right materials, which, as I've said, some of them are extremely rare and the drops are random. So it's like, okay, I may never do this unless you farm the Anomalous Cave, which is how I got it in the end.
Yeah. I have been collecting the vortex shards because I didn't know, like, I think I sold some, but I kind of had a feeling that there was something to them, but I haven't really, again, gotten into like crafting the grenades. I didn't realize that was a component for the grenades.
Yeah, that's what they're for.
But I haven't even really used them. What are because the vortex grenades do have a warning next to them in the menu. It's like, this is really volatile or unpredictable or something like that. I'm like, Okay, I don't want to kill myself with them because like I'm using a cremator too close or whatever. I thought that was kind of funny. So, um, we've kind of hinted at the discourse that's been surrounding this,
Yeah.
but I guess we can kind of talk about it a little bit more in depth. Again, I think it's no secret that a lot of people have been saying this is too short. I think that's complete bullshit because I still haven't finished it yet.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like what I said earlier. Like, if you mainline it and just stick to the main story, of course it's going to be shorter because that's how every Bethesda game is. And like I said, with Skyrim, if you just mainline the main quests, like stuck to the main quest, you can finish it in at most like 20 hours. But they want you to get out there and explore and do all these side quests that distract you from everything else going on. Like, who the hell is Sean? What's Alduin again? I don't remember Alduin. So yeah, like I mean, we all kind of saw the post that Mr. Matty Plays put out, just saying that he thought it was bad. Like, I didn't watch the video that he put out the following day.
I did.
But
and he contradicts himself right at the start of the video, but you know, like I like Mr. Matty Plays, like
I do too.
I've always kind of liked him, and he's somebody like that likes. I don't want to spend time like talking about other creators, but everyone's allowed their opinion. But himself and some other people, I don't know. I found it very difficult to agree with their criticisms, you know, for the most part. I think like the Andreja stuff, I don't get. People saying it's too short, I don't get. People saying, oh, exploration's not improved and stuff. It's like, yeah, sure, because it is more of the same Starfield. You know, it's the thing that kept coming up in comparison is people saying, oh, look what Phantom Liberty did for Cyberpunk. And it's like, no, Phantom Liberty is an expansion that came out 3 years after the game launched that was purposefully built to restructure the game. That's not what Shattered Space is. Shattered Space is a story expansion. We knew it was going to be this from day one. I saw Matty's criticisms, and I saw a lot of very strange, harsh, and what I felt were biased criticisms to Shattered Space. And it felt like it was really surprising because it felt like some people who kind of liked Starfield when it came out, were also being really harsh on this and just calling it.
It's like a lot of the people came out of the woodwork that were there even before Starfield came out.
Yeah, there was definitely that, and we know Starfield is like one of the most talked about games ever. Like, it's, you know, in the last year, everyone has an opinion on it, including people that haven't played it. And
that's my biggest thing. It's like, if you haven't even played it, shut up. Like. You don't really, like, you have the right to your opinion, but actually form an opinion first. Like, actually play the game so you can form a proper opinion. We don't need to hear your nonsense if you haven't even experienced it. If you have and you still have these feelings, then fine. You know, everybody has the right to their own opinion, but if you haven't experienced it, you really don't have the right to say anything.
Yoda's got an opinion.
Oh my god. Apparently.
I guess, okay, my general feeling on the discourse is it felt like Starfield was on a bit of a sort of rise in terms of reception throughout the past few months, and then Shattered Space came out, and you know, a lot of people were so negative on it that it felt like a massive step back. But again, I'm playing it and I'm like, is there something wrong with me? Like, because I hear, this is a thing I hear a lot, is big Bethesda fans play Shattered Space and play Starfield and say, this isn't like a Bethesda game. This isn't the Bethesda that I love. I don't like it. This is not what Bethesda fans want.
His head's kind of gotten into that.
And it's like, well, hang on. I'm a Bethesda fan. I love Skyrim, Oblivion, Fallout, and Fallout 76, you know, and I love Starfield. So what's the difference here? Like, I think there is, and I constantly hear, oh, this doesn't give me the same feeling that I got with Skyrim. This doesn't give me the same feeling I got with Far Harbor. This doesn't give me the same feeling I got with Fallout. And it's like, it's a different game.
Not, yeah, it's a completely different
It's
IP.
a different experience.
Yeah, it takes elements from these things, but it's its own.
And people
it's its own entity.
Are constantly saying we want new things, we want new IP, we want new experiences. Bethesda go out of their way to give us one, and people are like, "Oh no, but not like that. I want it the same as the other experience. Give me the stuff that you already did." And it's like, just go and play the other games then. And it's fine if it's not for you. It's ticking loads of boxes for me. Thematically, it ticks boxes for me. Gameplay wise, it ticks boxes for me because I don't play multiplayer games really. I don't play PvP as well. So this is what I want. This is my evenings. I can get lost in the world. I see the depth that has gone into building the universe. And so the criticism and the discourse is really frustrating and sad to see. As I said earlier, the thing I can kind of agree with is I think standalone, 30 quid or $30 is probably too pricey for it.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of...
And that's another thing. Like, they're saying that at most DLC is typically 20.
Yeah, and there's a lot of pricing issues in gaming right now. I think a lot of games come out that are overpriced, and it's about the value you put on it. So would I... that I can accept. I can say, oh yeah, it's probably about £10 overpriced standalone, and it's just like, well, they've got to make their money somehow. It's not a live service. For me, it doesn't matter because I paid it. As I said, I paid for the upgrade, the premium upgrade, so I got this included. If the next DLC that gets launched is priced at 30, I might be going in thinking, okay, maybe this might be a little bit overpriced, but I'm gonna pay it because I love Starfield, so it won't bother me too much. The calling it short, I do not understand this. It's like you just said, yes, if you just sprint through the main quest, it's going to be pretty short. That's not how you play these games. It's not how I play these games. No. I did everything there was to do, and I pushed nearly 20 hours with Shattered Space, and I don't know, is that a me thing again, because lots of people play it and aren't expected to read every slate and listen to every conversation. People aren't bothered about that, and it's like, yeah, okay, that's what's going to happen. You're going to have a shorter experience then. Does that mean it's bad? I don't think so, because...
take your time with it.
Yeah, I took my time, soaked it all up, and yeah, I've been thinking about it a lot, and it's just like, we know... I don't want to get into this kind of rant about how we know lots of websites and people on social media just like to talk about things so they can get engagement, but that is what it is, because
yeah, and it's worked because Emil Pagliarulo has been responding to a lot of this discourse.
Yeah, and again, I think when you read what Emil said, I can't hold anything against what he said. And again, I think people are just hanging on to... He's not... He could be more candid if he wants. I thought he was pretty candid for what he said. But again, these are huge studios with huge fan bases. They're not going to be as brash as you'd like them to be. And I think that's never really the case across the industry. I thought what he said was completely fair, and I think he received...
And he's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
But again,
everyone's hanging on to the comment where he said, "Oh, it's one of in some ways it's the best game we've ever made." And it's like, yeah, in some ways it is, because it's got the best combat they've ever made. Like, the best gunplay. Mm-hmm. Like, there is no question. So he's right when he says in some ways it's the best game we've ever made. Yes, because it has the best gunplay. It has the probably some of the deepest lore in terms of a foundation, because they're using all the experience of previous games and laying their foundation here better than I think they did. They didn't even lay the foundation with Fallout, but better than they did with Elder Scrolls. So
I've heard people saying that their stories aren't as compelling as what they have been, and that's something that Emil has been responding to a lot. I saw some video this guy put out a day or two ago, just kind of going through all of the stuff he's been responding to
Yeah.
on Facebook. And, I really do like Emil. I've had some conversations with him on Twitter about Marvel Midnight Suns.
Yeah.
He and I were kind of going back and forth about that. But so it's like they do see all of this. And whether or not they should respond to it is up for debate. Because there's the whole concept of just don't sell it, keep doing what you're doing, because there are people that really do enjoy this. But at the same time, if they don't do that, then people are going to complain, saying that the developers just don't care and aren't listening to the feedback.
Yeah. I think
so. It's like, what do you do in that situation?
I think saying they don't listen to feedback is so ridiculous. When you look at the updates and the patches that we've had in the past few months, they directly addressed like my own like big criticisms with the launch. I loved the launch Starfield. I still had criticisms. They addressed every single one. The maps and the fast traveling through the cities and knowing where the locations are in the cities. They added a Land Rover. It's just like,
which that's something that's been complained about since the beginning. We've talked about it on the show before, and it's like, well, why don't they give us this? They said that they're not going to, and then hey, they did.
And then the other one, the performance options, when it launched, is like only 30 frames. No, now you can do whatever you want. You can do uncapped if you want. You can change the difficulty. You can change the. Yeah. We've talked, I think, on Tapes from the Wastes about being able to adjust like carry weight and things like that. It's all there. They added it here. They addressed all my issues with the game. Do I have broader... It's like,
why don't they give us their survival mode? It's like, well, they kind of did, and you can change it to how much survival you want.
I play with that now. I play with needing to eat and drink every 30 minutes, because if you don't have that, the food is kind of pointless. Like, for the most
gives
part.
You like 5 HP.
Yeah, it's just pointless. Yeah. So at least it's like it adds another little, okay, I need to eat, I need to drink and stuff. And actually it lets me pay attention to what I'm eating and drinking. So yeah, and of course I have broader hopes and wishes for Starfield and what I want it to do, and it's like I don't feel entitled to any of that, though. I really like what they've done, and I hope we get more, and I really hope that all this discourse and all this, mostly negative on Steam and stuff doesn't get the team down, and I really hope it doesn't damage their opportunity to put more expansions out. We've seen a lot of crappy stuff in the games industry. Yeah. Games cancelled, projects cancelled, DLC cancelled. Look at Redfall. Look at Concord. There is every chance.
I had a lot of fun with Redfall.
Yeah, so did I. There is a lot of chance that, is it out of the realms of the possibility that the next Starfield expansion never comes out? No, it's not impossible. It might do. I would like to think, it feels like Bethesda are very strongly supported by Xbox and are believed in. And, I've seen people talking about player numbers on Steam, and it's just like, you're ignoring the console base for a start, which is millions of people. We know that. Look at Fallout 76. Look at what that's come back from. And look at what the Fallout show did for Fallout. It's just, I think there is so much hope and potential for Starfield, despite the discourse online and the engagement baiting. And Matty Plays said it, he literally says it himself in his video. He made basically 2 negative Starfield videos within 24 hours on his channel, and each of them had more views than like anything he'd done that month. And it's like, now you can see why maybe less reputable and less respectable people online will just talk shit about stuff all the time. I'm not here to say Starfield is perfect. It's not. For me, it ticks loads of boxes. And do you know what? I know I'm not alone, because I'm not blind and I'm not deaf. I go on the internet and I can see the community for Starfield is just as vibrant, just as passionate as many other games out there. So
absolutely,
I'm not some anomaly out there that loves this broken game. Lots of people love it, and I think it's resonating with people in lots of ways. And I just hope it continues to do that, despite this discourse and these loud people online, because it's a shame that so much weight is put in those voices. And like I say, influential voices, people who can review, and people go to their YouTube channels and their feeds to see what they think, and then they think, oh, I'll just never play it because so-and-so said it's trash. And it's like, well, maybe you're missing out. If I hope that impact sort of reduces a little bit, and it certainly, as I said, I hope it doesn't trickle down to the development team, because there's listening to feedback, and then there's I guess letting the loud sort of bad actors, really affect you, because
that's the thing with social media. It's like there's a lot of good out there, but a lot of it is the fact that it gives a platform to a very vocal minority.
It really does.
And whether or not that's the case with this is who knows, but I am in a couple of Starfield fan discords. I follow a lot of people on social media that put out Starfield content all the time, like Jay Duke and King Fan Man. Of course, Jess puts out a lot of Starfield pictures, and it's nice to have that balance of positive along with the negative. So, and I do my best to put out Starfield pictures too, especially now that I'm playing it a little bit more. So, and again, Bethesda does see this. The Bethesda UK channel, along with sometimes like the Starfield channel and the Bethesda channel, do highlight some of these people that put out a lot of amazing pictures. So it is cool to see.
Yeah, I just really hope, because there is so much of this now, there is so many angry, loud people online, and I don't want to be this person that's like, oh yeah, just let the developers get away with whatever they want. Like, no, I will say what I think. So I said again, I'm going to repeat myself. The maps at launch were trash. Like they were. It was a joke. I thought, this can't be right. This cannot be finished. It looked like a duvet when you open the screen. It just looked like a bed cover pattern. So I'm more than happy to criticize things that don't work for Starfield for me. But what I am worried about, and what I don't want to happen, is these loud bad actors to be so loud that the devs working at the studio, they've got to read that. Imagine going to work, and being so beaten down by these negative reviews and negative, comments online from the people who make it their mission to be negative, and you've got to get to work and work on this game, and you think, is it worth it if I'm just going to receive more abuse from these people online? And that's the stuff I really don't like. And I think I know a couple of people personally who really like Starfield, and I know a couple of people personally who didn't really like it. And I'm happy that a couple of people I know that didn't really like it, do you know what they're doing right now? Getting on with their life, playing other games, doing other stuff. They haven't said anything about Shattered Space because they've said, nah, Starfield's not for me. Cool, they've moved on.
I know a couple of people who said that they really wish that it did resonate with them, and it just didn't.
Yeah.
So,
but
they're not going to spend their time trashing it.
Exactly, because they got better. It's like me, like you say, and I will, within the bubble of our podcast and stuff, like I will sit here and give some critique and criticism and things that piss me off. I can't imagine going online and being vitriolic about stuff. Like, I got better things to do with my time, honestly.
I don't have the time or the energy to be like that.
Yeah, so there is a lot of...
How do you have that much time?
There is a lot, and I'm human. There's a lot of stuff I see, even stuff where I think irrationally, I'm like, I irrationally hate this thing out there. It's really annoying me. I just don't go tweeting about it because...
Right.
What's the point? So yeah, the discourse is strong as always with Starfield, and I think you and I have made our feelings very clear so far on this show.
Yeah.
On this episode, Starfield does a lot for both of us, and I can't see that changing anytime soon. I just hope we get more, and I hope that that this continues to be the thing that they said it would be, which is they've got long-term plans because they know that people live in their worlds. The game. Just to sort of quickly go on a tangent again, despite these negative reviews and despite the online discourse, we know that millions of people are still playing it. Thousands of people on Steam and millions on console. Just like the other games, just like Fallout. And these are single-player games. Starfield continues to do very well in a world where the top-performing games are old multiplayer games like Fortnite, like Call of Duty, like FIFA, like Madden. Starfield is a single-player RPG game that's doing great. Just like Fallout 4,
Yep.
Fallout 4 still is. Just like Skyrim still is. It still has players. So my hope is that this committed player base that it does tick boxes for is more than strong enough to sustain it, and I'll keep buying DLC. And the modding community is there. Bethesda knows that they kind of hand it off to people, which again I see people again swing as a negative, like, oh, they can't even make their own games, they just let modders take care of it. It's like, no, that's not what it is. I wish every developer did this. I wish every studio, you make a mod for a Capcom game and they come and ban your channel straight away. They don't want you doing anything to Resident Evil. Like, I think what they do hand in hand with the community is fantastic. And I think that my hope is that that connection is strong enough to sustain something like Starfield for the next 10 years. We'll get a couple of more decent expansions and then it can live off mods until a Starfield 2 comes along, whenever that is, or whatever.
I hope we get one, because I would love more. I want them to get more into the previous wars.
Yeah.
Like, I want to get a little bit more on that. Like, they kind of get into it a little bit, and like I said before, with the museum you get with the Vanguard, like it's from one perspective. It's from the UC's perspective. So I would love to get a little bit more background on all of that. Really quickly, I put out some feelers on social media to see if I could get more of the community's perspective on all of this. And I did get one response on Blue Sky, and it kind of says what we've been saying.
Okay.
This is from White Mojo Wolf on Blue Sky. They say that I think the criticism would be more warranted if it came from people like me who've put hundreds of hours into the game since launch. Not many of us are complaining because it's more of what I like. Even if there are some complaints, I bet they're helpful, constructive versus the web en masse. And that pretty much echoes what we've been saying. Like, if you haven't actually taken the time to experience it properly, why are you even saying anything? Like, I just hate the bandwagon trashing that just seems to be the trend these days. Like, everybody just wants to dump on something, whether or not they have actually played it. They just want to parrot everything else because it makes them look cool, and it just makes you look like a jackass.
And it's why I've kind of in the past year or two, like, I've really started to put a lot less stock in these online on even some like big publication reviewers. Like, I just think it doesn't do anything for me anymore. And I think in such a fragile industry that's dominated online by these loud, grifters, I just think it's very difficult to even weed through all that and find the honest reviews. So I stick to just speaking to people like you and the people we know that enjoy the game and have played the game, not somebody on Twitter who's like, oh yeah, I accidentally completed the Shattered Space main quest in an afternoon. How about that? It's like, it's so toxic, and I can't put my faith in almost anybody online. So I can only take at value the opinions of people that I know, the conversations I have on podcasts, because that's the real conversations. It's Twitter's just kind of
It's kind of like what you've said on. I'm pretty sure you said it on this show, but I know you said it on others, where it's like you're kind of you've almost got somebody's livelihood in your hands.
100%.
Because if you're shadowed, what's the word, dumping or shadow reviewing, or where you're trashing everything before it's even out, and it comes out, and because of all this it gets a negative review, or even just like a 70. That's not terrible.
No, but in the consciousness of people today, it is. That's the world we live in. So it's like,
and like studios are being closed. Like all of those studios got closed. Was it early this year? All those Bethesda studios even.
And maybe if people were a bit more authentic and supportive online, this wouldn't be happening,
Yeah. And a lot of people are wondering if even Bethesda is going to last, because a lot of people would go, Bethesda hasn't put a good game out since Fallout 3 or whatever. It's like, really? I for one think this is awesome. Like, is it perfect? No, but it is a hell of a lot better than what the general consensus would have you believe.
Agreed. Yeah, I don't want to say we could rant about this a bit more, but yeah.
But any final thoughts on all this? Or
I suppose my final thoughts are, I had a great time with Shattered Space. Like it kind of it gave me what I was hoping for in terms of finally, really showing us what House of Rune is, and because I've wanted that since before the game launched. So it's been a long old road to get here. Looks great, plays great. Would I have liked a bit more of it? Yeah, sure. Do I want better loot? Yeah, sure. Would I like more companions? Yeah, sure. Of course, I want more of that, because this gave me a lot more Starfield, and I always want more. Had a great time with it. The discourse, I'm just trying to... I think maybe, hopefully we're kind of done with that now, because... whatever comes next for Starfield, maybe because Shattered Space was so drowned in so much discourse, maybe people won't even waste their time talking about what comes next. And the people who actually do enjoy it can enjoy it. The same way I said I was jumping on and playing Skyrim the other day, like I hope to still be doing that with Starfield in the future. And I can see myself doing it. So just really cool to sort of talk with you about it today. I really enjoyed it. Looking forward to diving into more Starfield soon. And just I guess, to anyone listening that maybe didn't enjoy Shattered Space, let us know why you didn't. We'd love to hear if you had your criticisms. Come and talk to us about it, because we're more than happy to have conversations about this. But if you're a bad faith actor, maybe just go find something else to do, because... I'm kind of done with dealing with it now. I want to talk about it with people that do enjoy it and are honest and authentic. So, like you. So
for sure. Yeah, I try to I don't really interact with the people who are negative on social media about it. I just try to stick to the people I know that all really enjoy it. And again, it's not that I'm not blind to the issues and what people are saying. I think some of it is definitely valid, but that's not what I dwell on. Because again, I don't have the time or energy to just be overall like negative about things.
Do you know what really annoys me? This is another thing that constantly... so I'm still going. There's another thing that constantly comes up. People say, oh, the character models look like trash. And they're like, I don't care. I don't need mocapped, realistic-looking character models to enjoy my video game, okay? And it's sad. It makes me sad that if your enjoyment of a video game is based on how realistic the character models are, then... I just think you're doing yourself a disservice, because the game is so strong in many other ways that, I just played Star Wars Outlaws across the summer as well. Character models look better in that than they do in Starfield. The game was dull as hell for the most part, and it's just like each game will have its strengths and weaknesses. Accept it for what it is, but don't be like, oh, have you seen the character models? They're so ugly in those Bethesda games. It's like, I actually kind of think their weirdness adds to the experience for me. And like I say, I don't want them to be mocapped. I don't want them to look any more real, because...
No, it's a video game.
It's a video game, and it does well enough to suck me in that I don't need, And again, that's just going to blow the budgets out of proportion if they start scanning people in and, or doing whatever. So I'm not saying they don't do any mocap, because I think they do some, but... Yeah, so that's something that I hear people say. Yeah, the character models look like last gen. It's like, I don't care. This has no bearing on how the game plays, because it excels in so many other ways. So, yeah, but I don't know. Maybe I'm stupid, Eric.
No, you're just normal and not an internet troll.
Yeah.
But I mean, Bethesda hasn't really said anything about what's next. There has been, I guess there was something that came out that they trademarked or copyrighted the word Starborn.
Yeah, I think so. That is what's coming, right? And when Todd was on Matty Plays' YouTube channel, he was like, we plan to do an expansion every year. And like I said earlier, like if Fallout 76 can survive what it survived, surely Starfield can. I mean, and what people need to understand as well, and this is just before we wrap up, like another side note, games like Fallout 76 and ESO, they are pumping so much money into Bethesda. Like, it doesn't matter if you don't play them personally, so many people play these games and pay the microtransactions and pump money into these games. Games like that are allowing Bethesda to continue with something like Starfield. So yeah, my hope is that Fallout 76 came back from the darkness, if you like, even though I always kind of liked it. I think Starfield should be able to, and I think it should be sustainable because, ESO is like, is its 10-year anniversary? I'm sure I read somewhere something stupid that it's made like $1 billion for them or something like that, and it's just like, it doesn't surprise me because there's loads of people that love it and play it. I love ESO, I just don't have the time to play it. It's a big commitment.
I don't really either, to be honest, but that actually could be changing here shortly, with me finally graduating from uni. I'm gonna have a little bit more time on my hands, so maybe I can start getting back into Elder Scrolls and maybe unpressing pause on my other two shows.
Yes. Well, look, Eric, come on. The Switch 2 is rumored to be revealed like very, very soon. So
they did acknowledge it. They did say it's coming.
We're going to have some Nintendo stuff, which I'm obviously happy to jump on and chat with you about because, Nintendo. I miss the Nintendo stuff. Yeah.
No, I mean, I wanted to keep that going. I tried to kind of keep it going for a little bit along with Tamrielic Adventures, but I'm just like, something's got to give.
Yeah.
And I'm busier than ever with all the community stuff, which, we kind of talked about it a little bit. We can talk a little bit more about it now. The Fallout Day event that's going on the 23rd. So by the time you're listening to this, it's not going to happen yet. Fallout for Hope, I've been involved with them for a couple of years now, and they have been doing a stream with Bethesda on Bombs Drop Day for the last few years. And this year they're making it kind of an official thing. They're calling it Fallout Day, just not just Bombs Drop Day. So it is kind of a celebration of everything Fallout, not just Fallout 76, but the entire series. So there is going to be, I think, about a half hour of announcements and things like that. And then just for the next 4 hours is going to be a celebration of the community and what Fallout means to us. So a lot of us, I think 40 or 45 of us that have made floats. And there's going to be 2-minute interviews with us. And I have a float. I built a float and am going to be a part of this. And then there's a lot more people who put together, 30-second videos. And it's not just Fallout 76. As I said, there are a few people that made things or did things in Fallout 3 and Fallout 4. It's hosted by Kenneth Vigue and along with Shreds, Jessica Starr, Tuniversal, and Wreck-It Renee. And there's a lot of special guests, and it's all to raise money for St. Jude's. So definitely check that out when it's live. It's going to be on the Bethesda channel, and it's going to be awesome. So the VOD's going to be available later on. I think Ken's going to put it on his YouTube channel. But I'm so excited, and we can finally talk about it now because we were all under an NDA for a while. So it's going to be. It's not really Starfield related, but it's community related, Bethesda related, and can't wait. So, what else do you have going on? I mean, of course, we got Tapes from the Waste and all that other good stuff.
Which
what else do you have going on?
It will be our 4-year anniversary, I think. Is that right? Because
Bombs Drop Day, it was 2020.
Yeah, we need to jump back on for another Tapes episode soon. But yeah, so there'd be that. Obviously, gaming Aroma I do every week. I missed last weekend because I was busy, but I'll be doing gaming chat on that this weekend. Come and check out the stuff for First Aid Spray. I'm on board. We've got our anniversary coming up in November, and where we all get together and do like a special Resident Evil quiz show type thing as well. So that'll be out like next month, and then I'm scheduled for some other stuff for that. We just did some other previous episodes on it recently, and my Gears of War podcast, Gears Intel, which again, like I said at the start, I've kind of took the summer off of podcasting. That's all coming back round now, and I've got stuff planned with the guys there for that. And yeah, just gonna be playing more video games. Looking forward to playing more Fallout 76 as well. Looking forward to Bombs Drop Day and all that Fallout lovely stuff. And I think that's about it. I'm sure there's something I'm forgetting, but yeah. So yeah, just I'm sure we'll be back again soon for more Starfield chat as well, because
absolutely,
yeah, we'll keep it coming.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah, I know. Was it Tom said that he's going to kind of have a conversation with his co-host on Starfield Lorecast as to whether or not they're going to keep going. But we're not going anywhere. Also, I should probably mention, shout out to my friends at the Modus Files. That's still going on. I play a few characters on there. And I know, I'm pretty sure Lawrence has an episode of... he's involved in the Neon Stories from Starfield show as well, and they've got a show coming out fairly soon.
Eric, listen to all this terrible content being created by this fan community that apparently doesn't exist for this terrible game, right? Isn't it crazy?
Right? Yeah. I mean, and of course, yeah. It's just the absolute drizzling shit.
Yeah, and then nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to make fan content
playing it if it's like that. It's like I keep seeing that meme of the stick figure kids playing the game, and it's Starfield, and this person's just in the background. It's like, that's bad, right? It's terrible. They should have done this. Quit having fun, God damn it!
It's very much that. Oh, so anyway, did you see one thing just before we go? I want to mention. Did you see that they announced that Starfield Deluxe vinyl set for the soundtrack? Like, dude, I have the Fallout. So when they did this for Fallout 4, they released the collector's edition 6 vinyl set, which I have over there, and it's like one of my prized possessions. The Starfield one is coming out, and I'm like, I have to get this. I love the Starfield soundtrack so much, and I think, whether we do it together or something, like I want to be talking about that more on this show soon. Yeah, it's like £110 for this 6 vinyl set, but I'm looking at my credit card and I'm like, if I don't get this, I'm going to be very upset. So I think I'm going to pre-order that as well, because it looks fantastic. And yeah,
I mean, I know it's been criticized for not having like needle drops like Fallout does, but I think the music is still really good.
The music is incredible. Like, yeah, I'll save that for another day.
So anyway, that is going to do it for us. Let us know what your thoughts are on Shattered Space. I know I've kind of been asking about that on social media, and a lot of people have just kind of been giving reactions, like they'll like the post or whatever, which I do appreciate. I'm glad that people have, liked the posts, but it would be nice also to get some thoughts on what other people's feelings are on Shattered Space. So you can do that by finding me on Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky at IanGold08. You can find the show on Twitter at StarsandPod and Instagram at Starfield Sandwich. I need to get better about using the Instagram for the show's profile. So, and where can people find you?
So for the time being, I am still on Twitter as K_D_B_. We all know, that place is it's very difficult sometimes, but I'm still on there. So come and follow me there, where I share everything. And we both tweet from the Starfield Sandwich account as well, so I'll be on there. Or you can leave us now. I quite like this feature on Spotify. You can leave comments on the podcast now on Spotify,
I keep forgetting to mention that.
So you can do that if you're listening on Spotify. Leave us a comment right there.
Yeah, we've gotten a few little comments from Lee Benjamin from the ASA podcasting
Nice.
family, just saying how he's appreciated the episodes. And I've had a few people over there ask me when the next episode's coming out.
We had a great. I don't want to name the person, but we had like a great message from somebody, didn't we, saying how much he appreciated the show. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to say because he sort of said a few things in his message which might throw shade out at some people. But thank you very much. You know who you are.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, yeah, that'll do it for this episode. So until next time, stay safe out there, Spacelanders.
Take care, everyone.